All right, hi everyone. Good evening to all, and welcome to another live stream with LinkedIn Local Philippines, specifically Metro South. So, in a few minutes, we are about to begin for Step Up Leadership with Enrique Antonio Reyes. So, encouraging everyone to please, if you think this live stream is beneficial to someone you know, please invite them to join us. Definitely, there's a lot of learnings we will be having tonight with Sir Enrique Antonio Reyes. Okay, so once more we are about to begin for step up leadership. So we'll be learning how to be a leader, especially in these times of crisis. And before we begin, before I introduce our sharer this evening, inviting everyone to join us. Our chapter is Metro South. It's LinkedIn Local Philippines Metro South. Okay, so in addition, if you're into digital creativity, in the likes of Photoshop, After Effects, or any tool that uses digital technology coupled with creativity, inviting you to join us in Digital Creatives Philippines. And if you're an Autodesk users, Autodesk, their popular product being AutoCAD, inviting you to join our friends in Autodesk Community of Philippines. Same also to our friends who are using Adobe softwares, inviting everyone to join us in Adobe Community Philippines. And just to add, tomorrow we have another free training to our friends, most especially in the world of architecture, engineering, and construction. So once more, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, March 7 at 6 p.m., we have a free training getting started with the SketchUp. So that live training will be live streamed in Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. And this evening, we are not only live in LinkedIn, we are also live in, I think, Sir Enrique would have to confirm that if it's live in his page. I hope so. I hope our live stream is also live in his page. So once more, we are live in Facebook, link, and LinkedIn. Okay, so without, before I forget, okay, once more, good evening everyone. Your host for tonight, my name po is Jomark Bakiran. So I'm an advocate po of LinkedIn. The reason why is, like what I have invited you a while ago, we conduct a lot of free trainings, ayan, technical trainings. And the next step, our dilemma kasi, after that is helping everyone, di ba, to give them opportunities, careers, jobs. So that's why, ayan, LinkedIn, dumating yung LinkedIn. We discovered LinkedIn and the community of LinkedIn Local. So once more, our speaker, sharer, this evening is Sir Enrique Reyes. So also, this is this is raw and uncut. This is my first time to meet Enrique. So makikita nyo po kung paano mangilala si Joe Mark. So ganon. Okay? So once more, we'll be learning how to lead in a crisis together with Enrique Reyes. Sir Enrique, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Jomar. Good evening to all who are watching and listening to the program.
Ayan, so paano ba to? Question siguro muna, no?
Okay.
Simu- getting to know muna tayo more about Enrique. Paano ba kita in-approach, sir? Parang,
I think during the one of the prior shows, si Janet mentioned, no, so parang I asked a question and then she acknowledged that she mentioned considering maybe sharing next time. And then after that, you messaged me.
ayan, oo. Just to add din, Sir Enrique, ang mission talaga natin sa LinkedIn Local is simple lang naman, no? Ayan, makatulong sa, most especially to our countrymen. Ayan. And yeah, I've noticed you're into, tama ba? Pharmacy? Are you still into that type of thing?
Yeah, I'm actually a pharmacy graduate. So I graduated in college with a BS in pharmacy. And right now, I'll acknowledge, shout out to all my students if they're watching. So I actually teach pharmaceutical marketing at the University of Santo Tomas,
Ah,
Faculty of Pharmacy.
ayan. So you're still, you're still doing that for how many years na pala?
No, I actually just started. So I've been in the corporate field for maybe 3 decades already, as you can see with my gray hair. And then it's time to probably give back, give back to where I started. And that is why I'm teaching. And I'm really grateful for the Department of Pharmacy for taking me in as one of the lecturers.
Ayan, so how did you started pala, the core of your career ba is more into the field of pharmacy, or you went
So,
through different ano din?
so basically pharmacy, but specific to marketing, so pharmaceutical marketing. So I actually started my career with SmithKline Beecham, who is now GlaxoSmithKline. And it's one of the bigger multinational pharmaceutical companies in the market today. And I actually culminated my career within the pharmaceutical industry with Merck Sharp and Dohme. And I was the public sector lead, and I worked with, of course, the officers of the company as well as the Department of Health and all the other non-government organizations, but to bring in some products that will impact public health in the Philippines. And then after that, I got pirated here and there. So I went to Hilti as head of marketing for about 3 years. And more recently, which is would be the topic of the presentation today. So I was part of the biggest original equipment manufacturer in the world, which is Midea. And I'll share my experience with them, particularly during the pandemic. And how, not just me, not me, but how the organization actually stepped up as far as leadership is concerned to help us survive the pandemic.
Ayan, shout out. Ako, I'm seeing your ano no, I'm seeing the comments of your students no. Shout out to Rensborg Bautista. He's watching us in Facebook, in YouTube, Freja, Julia Yap. Ayan, Mary Erden Igman. Ayan, thank you for joining us and supporting Sir Enrique. How should I call you ba? Parang na-confuse ako, may
It's
IKS.
actually X lang. So my name is actually quite long. So Enrique Antonio yan. Enrique Antonio Reyes. No? But my friends call me Iking. So that's I-K-I-N-G. Pero alam mo naman, nagpapaka-millennial na ako ngayon. So IKS na lang. X na lang.
Ayon, X. Ayan, parang kakaiba ata itong job title. I'm seeing Chief Venture Loquist. Tama
Yeah.
ba?
So it's actually, so the company is actually, it's a play around incubation. So incubate. So this the company is incubate. And I wanted to give myself an interesting title. No? So marami ako nakita Meron Chief Everything Officer, merong Chief Empowerment Officer, may mga ganun No? Merong Child of Owner, COO. So I gave myself the title because it's about ventures. No? It's about putting up new businesses. So venture-loquist. No? So Chief Venture-loquist. And funny enough, in one of my prior presentations, I was actually introduced as a ventriloquist. And so, nung lumabas ako, naghahanap ng puppet yung mga audience. Akala nila ventriloquist ako. But it's all about venture. So, I'm chief ventriloquist for Incubate. So, basically, I'm looking for ventures, whether that's e-commerce or digital learning. So, I'm also interested in that. And then later on, I have a shameless plug on that.
Ayan, so once more to our viewers, please register pala. We have a registration form ata sa comments sa description section because siguro LinkedIn Learning is graciously will be giving away subscription to LinkedIn. I hope you're familiar with LinkedIn. It has a certain subscription na paid so we'll be giving away career premium and LinkedIn Learning subscription. Ayan, sa mga nag-register. Ayan, and yeah, encouraging everyone to ask questions, no? So we prefer a format of parang wag natin gawin na parang kami dalawa lang nag-uusap ni Sir X, no? So we highly prefer everyone to participate, to ask, ayan, to ask questions, ayan. So I'm gonna be sharing Sir X uh, PowerPoint now. Ayan, shout out kay Stephen Leonora, ayan, Janelle Marela Legarde. So once more, encouraging everyone to connect. Yeah, let's all connect in LinkedIn. Iba pa rin yung, 'di ba, the power of connections. Ayan. Let's go, Sir Miss T Fabulous. Ayan, Sir Ike, Sir X, you can now hit Shift F5 ba? Tama ba?
I'm supposedly sharing the slide already on presentation mode. So can you see it on presentation mode or nakaano pa rin?
What
Pa rin?
tingin ko, are you using a dual monitor?
Not really. Wait.
Hindi.
Let me stop first.
Nakikita namin yung yung design mode ba 'yon? Nakikita mo yung slide sa left side. Ayan. So anyways, once more, encouraging everyone to connect in LinkedIn. And yan, I'm flashing the LinkedIn profile link of Sir X. Okay. So we're seeing your slide pero hindi siya naka slideshow pa.
Okay. It should go on slideshow in a few seconds. Naka-slideshow na ako sa akin.
Ayan. Nakalimutan ko palang itanong at alamin namin, taga saan daw si Sir X?
Metro Manila, of course, particularly Makati. But I also hail from Batangas. So kung may mga Batanggenyo dyan, if there are some students before, from Lyceum of Batangas, I used to teach at the graduate school there. So shout out to them. Yeah.
Saan ka daw, sir? Bawan?
City, Batangas City.
Batangas City. So.
Paliocan. East Paliocan, I think.
Nice. Ayan.
Yeah. Is it on on presentation?
Hindi. No. Hindi. Pero I'm seeing na yung kanina naka-highlight yung yung parang full presentation mode. Pero sa amin, ang nakikita namin yung kanina pa rin. Yung sinend ko sa'yo sa screen capture na sinend ko sa'yo a while ago.
Sige. Antay lang tayo ng konti. If not, we'll make do with that. So, okay lang yun.
Or, ayan, you can send the
I can send it to you.
You can send the PowerPoint to me and I'll be your I'll be your personal clicker.
Okay.
Okay, so guys,
slide,
yep, I'll be giving 1 minute. Antayin ko lang para mas sure, no. I'll be waiting for Sir X PowerPoint. Ako na lang siguro mag-show. Ayan. So I'll be leaving you this. Yep.
The practice of job searching hasn't changed much. Networking, referrals, demonstrating skills, and so forth. But the way we do it has. Today, it can all happen in one place, and that's LinkedIn. It connects the world's professionals and creates economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And LinkedIn Learning combines our high-quality, expert-led learning content with this LinkedIn data to make those professionals more successful.
I've been working in higher education for over 10 years, and I've never seen a tool that provides what LinkedIn Learning can. It reveals in-demand skills using data, AI, and machine learning. We're able to deliver relevant, customized micro-learning content that prepares learners for the future. It's a strategic complement to an institution's curricula.
LinkedIn becomes a hub for students, alumni, faculty, and staff. They can learn, connect, engage, and strengthen their professional brand.
All of us were students once too, which is why we're so passionate about student success. We want to see them advancing their skills and building their professional brand. Employers are going online to find new talent. Students need to create an online presence early to give them a competitive advantage. So let's take a look and see how this works.
First, a student creates a profile. It can be a great place to interact with peers and professors.
Throughout her education, LinkedIn Learning supplements classroom learning, and online course recommendations help her continuously develop micro skills on her own.
She posts course completions and class projects to her LinkedIn profile. It becomes an online portfolio to showcase her academic career.
Her network grows as she interacts with the broader community, engages with thought leaders, and comments on posts and articles.
As graduation approaches and she finds a field of interest, alumni connections help her with internship and job opportunities in that field.
The learning, insights, and connections empower her to enter the workforce.
As your students and staff interact with the LinkedIn ecosystem, we provide student outcome data that perfectly complements your institution's own internal data. It's a mutually beneficial opportunity. Looking at both data sets together, we're able to close skills gaps, enhance outcomes, and foster lifelong learning. Ultimately, differentiating your institution for current and future students.
Together, we're able to invest in the growth and development of individuals, to empower students to build their professional brand and prepare them for the careers of tomorrow.
To help faculty, staff, and alumni elevate their careers.
We're here to partner with you. Let's guide lifelong learners to be more productive and successful in the global workforce.
Ayan. Okay, so I'm opening the slide now.
Thank you.
Ayan, so tapos na ba guys yung ask ko lang yung mga students ni Sir X? Tapos na ba yung SEM? Parang sa amin ata I'm taking Masters of IT right now patapos na kami.
Mhm. Actually kami, I think we're supposed to be halfway, but I didn't start on time kasi parang we missed at least a month of classes. And yan, nakakatuwa nga, may nakalagay dito, best teacher sa comment. Kaso, best prof pa. Pero nasa second meeting pa lang.
Ayun. Okay, so once more, step up leadership with Sir X Reyes.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir John Mark, for this opportunity. And I'd like to thank everyone who signed up and also who showed up to this particular event. So on my next slide, so you'll please share the agenda. So what we're going to be talking about for the next 3 to 4 hours would be, first now I'll give you a background of myself, and then we'll revisit the panic that we actually encountered during the pandemic. And then I'll talk a little bit about how I thought leadership was shaping up during at that time, particularly for the organization that I was with. And then what we did to step up during that time, and how we were able to find opportunities that actually gave us significant revenue, and funded us and helped us survive during that time. After that, we will maybe wrap up with some key learnings that I have, and maybe for those who are watching, you could also put in your comments what type of learning you've actually gotten from the presentation. And then SSP just basically means shameless self-promotion. So I'll be sharing with some of the future speaking engagements that I will have, and also some of the things that I do on the side, apart from looking for ventures and also teaching part time. And then hopefully we can have a lot more time for questions. Yeah. So for the next slide, actually before may ang job ko ganyan. One of my jobs before I was into events management, and early on there was no PowerPoint yet. So we had to work with carousel slides. Are you familiar with that, Jomar? Yung naka-carousel, 35mm slides, yung sinaslat mo sa mga carousel. And
Hindi
then,
na sir. Ano, yung
oo,
projector na tayo na ano yun, yung
oo.
mm,
So carousel projector na abutan ko pa noon. And I always remember, lagi akong sunod slide please because I was the events coordinator. So usually the speaker would always tell me, next slide please. No? So, yeah, so balik muna tayo dun sa slide prior. So as a background, I've mentioned before, I was a pharma industry executive. I started with GlaxoSmithKline, now GlaxoSmithKline, and then culminated my career as part of Merck Sharp and Dohme. Then eventually I joined Hilti as head of marketing for 3 years, and then was part of Midea and Toshiba as heading the digital business. No? So before I left, no? I'm also a marketing practitioner, and at the same time, I'm a podcaster. No? So I represent the podcasting community and also a leadership enthusiast. Not an expert, but I'm very interested in leadership. So, disclaimer. So on the next slide, we have the disclaimer. This is not a case study. No? So I'd like you to avoid, quoting me and stuff. No, this is a story of my own personal experience, and so this does not represent, an official accounting, of the story of my idea during the pandemic. No? So I'm just relating my own personal experience. Now, as we move forward, during the pandemic, actually the world temporarily closed, and my idea as an organization is actually selling and marketing appliances. No? And when you think of appliances, the business is actually retail. So when the world closed, the world as we know it closed, the business for my idea closed as well. And it posed a lot of concerns. No? So on the next slide, I think I have an illustration there. No? So most of us actually looked like that. No? So we were, biting our lip, also biting our nails, because there's a lot of uncertainty around. And as an employee, one of the first things that you actually think is, will I still have a job after this? Or not even after this? So as we go through this, will I still keep my job? And if you are a manager, a team leader, you want to think of what will happen to my team. So will my team be gone? Do I have to let go of people? And of course, if you're an executive or a business owner, you want to ask yourself, how do I actually keep the business running? And if you want to take a humanistic view of it, the question you should be asking yourself is, how can I keep paying my employees, as we go through this pandemic? So on the next slide, that was the answer. The world as we knew it actually closed, and that's why we had to open another outlet. So we didn't actually go through the matrix. But we looked at the internet. We looked at online practices as the next best thing, and we didn't have the luxury of time. Lahat now na. It was we needed to act immediately. So yep. On the next slide. So we thought about how can we actually go through this, and I'd like to share with you first. Before I share with you the different steps that we approached, I'd like to share with you adaptive leadership. So this is Ronald Heifetz of Harvard Business School, and I actually took a course. So because of the pandemic, there was time, and I went through a Harvard X course on leadership, and he was a facilitator, and he described leadership as this. So this is a quote I got from him. I'm asking you to think of leadership like the craft of carpentry. or you may need good hands and good tools, but good hands and good tools does not define carpentry. Building something does. So what does this mean? So medyo nahirapan ako mag-isip na, what does this mean? So sabi niya leadership, what I thought about being a leader, meeting my team, giving them directions, solving problems here and there, on a daily basis, that was not leadership. No, in his definition, that was not leadership. So I may be a critical thinker, I may be competitive, etc., which are the tools for leadership. But leadership actually, the practice of leadership is adaptive. If you cannot use those tools and use it in a particular situation, such as a crisis, such as the pandemic, then you haven't exactly exhibited leadership. No, so the things that I do day to day is just a performance of my role, but it's not me being the leader. So naisip ko yun. So maybe what we needed was adaptive leadership. And so I thought about it again, and I came across a term. So on the next slide, I came across a term, the 4 A's of adaptive leadership. So I looked further. So there has to be anticipation, adaptation. There has to be a lot of articulation, and of course, at the end, there should be a lot of accountability. And during the time, I think we were able to articulate, what we wanted to do. We were able to adapt to the situation, but we weren't really able to anticipate. No, hindi namin na forecast yung pandemic to be there. No, so we were all caught unaware. A week before it, we were still like doing our normal type of business. And then when we were shut down, we didn't know what to do. We had to take like I think a day or two off just to reset and really think about what happened and what should we do. Now, so here you don't have to read the example, but interestingly enough, the example for the 4 A's of adaptive leadership was how AstraZeneca, I'm sure the pharmacy students here are familiar with AstraZeneca. It's one of the bigger multinationals out there. And the general public probably know them as one of the earlier companies that actually was able to manufacture a vaccine. And they were the case study for the 4 A's of adaptive leadership because they were able to anticipate having a presence in China. They were able to anticipate the occurrence of a pandemic. They articulated their goals immediately and all throughout the different shareholders and stakeholders of their organization. And then they were able to adapt and become accountable so that they can see the project through. And now we have the vaccines coming in. I think one of the first few vaccines that arrived in the Philippines is actually a product of AstraZeneca. But it's not the only type of leadership that we can actually consider. I think in the next slide, there's an other form of leadership, which one of the senior managers in Google before was espousing, and it is the emergent leadership. And it's interesting how he described it. It's feeling the sense of responsibility, the sense of ownership, to step in. So remember, to step in to try to solve any problem. And the humility to step back and embrace the better ideas of others. So the end goal is, what can we do together to solve the problem? And after I contributed my piece, it's time for me now to step back. So I'm thinking, well, maybe as far as the practice of leadership is concerned, we hinged on adaptive leadership as a practice during the pandemic. But at the same time, the individuals involved practiced emergent leadership. Now, when we look at emergent leadership, if you look further at the literature in terms of emergent leadership, you would see that it's more of a natural way of letting the team take over leadership responsibilities, not from the actual leader. But during the pandemic, we didn't have the luxury of time. No, we couldn't wait for a natural progression. And that's why, technically, we didn't really practice emergent leadership. But basically, we just stepped up. So on the next slide, Thank you, Sir Jomar. No, so I'll share with you the first step actually that we did not to exhibit step up leadership, and we stepped up in the time of crisis, particularly during the pandemic. So here, the number one step is take ownership, and I don't mean this as a motherhood statement. It means putting yourself really out there. You talk to your boss, tell them that I know this, I'm more familiar with this than any of the other people here in the organization, and I want to lead this program. And that's exactly what I did. No, so I spoke to my boss, I wrote a letter to the leadership team, and I even sent our general manager a message telling them that I'm 2 years ahead of anyone here in the organization as far as managing a digital business, no? As far as being familiar with the methods of online marketing, I'm way ahead of anyone, and I believe that if anyone internally should lead it, it should be me. And that was not born out of yabang or anything. I don't want you to think about that. No, so I'm not knocking on any other person's capabilities, but it's really more of a sense of urgency, and it's more of a sense of survival for myself because I wanted to make sure that things are done right. And so, if you want to practice step up leadership, you take ownership aggressively. Put yourself out there, talk to the people that can give you that responsibility. So the next step would be pragmatic. And before I start, no, sometimes it's not enough for the president or the CEO to tell you that okay, I trust you, do it. Sometimes that's not enough. It's important that all the other individuals in the organization see you as the leader. And of course, we want leadership to be natural, right? But again, it was during the pandemic and we didn't have the luxury of time. So I had to really push that there was an actual announcement that they create a, an organization, a matrix organization that shadows our actual organization, but this time working towards putting up an online business. So taking ownership is up to that level, and you need to be thick-faced. No, you cannot be shy during that time because it was a critical moment for the business, and it I actually went to that level where I had to push for the organization to send out a memo highlighting what would be the matrix organization for the project. Now, when you are faced with a particular project at a time of crisis, you need to be pragmatic. You need to be able to prioritize actions, that are really specific to the goals. When you look at online marketing, there are lots of flavor in online marketing, and you have to be pragmatic in terms of what would deliver immediate results. So we could just brush through it. For online marketing, you could go through email marketing. You could do some social media marketing. You could do some SEO and put up a site. Design the site in such a way that it attracts people. But there, we needed immediate results. So what we actually did was move on to affiliate marketing. Now, I don't want to share specific strategies that we did, because it's just a personal accounting of my story. No, but what we did is basically we put up our own website in 2 days. No, one website for my Tio, another website for Toshiba within 2 days, and then we organized ourselves into selling teams. Everyone in the organization, whether you're a trainer, whether you're a quality control specialist, you are now a seller. Whether you're the GM, you are now a seller. And we went through the different communities online. We went through it on our own. No, we didn't hire other people to do it. No, we didn't explore third-party partners. There was no time for that. So we trained ourselves, no, on how to sell online, and we learned by experience. No, so we learned through experience, and eventually I share with you the results. So make sure that you are being pragmatic because there's no time for fluffy stuff. No? And you need to think that you're a startup. You're a startup that needs to survive. No? And that's how you should approach it. So the third step, which would be on the next slide, is you need to over communicate. Remember, we're not seeing ourselves face to face. We're on lockdown.
Mm.
The only way to reach out each other is through Zoom, through text messages, through Viber groups, etc., etc. And you need to take advantage of technology. Maximize the technology that are around you, and don't be afraid to over communicate. Even though you think they're fed up with your message, it might be that because you're saying your message so much that you're the one fed up, but they haven't really, gotten the gist of what you want them to do. And make sure that there is alignment in everything. You need to check if the understanding is correct. You need to check if you guys are aligned. So over communicate. Every town hall that you could join, you join. Every group that you could join, you join. And then you communicate the plans, you communicate the strategies there. Okay. Number 4, learn and apply. So, as I mentioned before, I was 2 years ahead, but I didn't really got certifications at the time. And part of leadership, is building trust, on yourself, that the people can actually trust you. So you learn as you go, and you apply when you can. Learn and apply. Make it a learn and apply cycle rather than a trial and error endeavor. No? So yun yung quote nyo sa akin. No? Learn and apply, not trial and error. And it's not just about you as the leader. You need to bring your team up to speed. No? So create a learning challenge. Start a learning challenge. Force your team to also upgrade themselves. If we're talking about digital marketing, if we're talking about online selling, then we need to get them up to speed and learn as much as we can about it. So remember, we were lucky because some of us actually had prior experience. But if you're only making a decision, if you need to make a decision 1 or 2 days from now, and you're just starting to learn about certain things, it will be hard for you. So it's always important to encourage continuous learning within the organization. And I'll talk more about that towards the end of the presentation. So number 5, keenly observe. So when you are the leader, it's the leaders are emerging. The leaders are adapting. The leaders are stepping up. So you continuously look for people who are stepping up. Continuously observe and recognize the emergence of leaders within the organization, because you will be surprised. And as I've noted here, be ready to be disappointed. Be ready to be surprised, because sometimes the introverts whom you think are indifferent to the organization are actually the ones who actually care. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
those who are loud, yung mga namamansin, yung maraming napapansin, ang daming reklamo. But when you put them in a situation where there's ambiguity, makikita mo na wala na silang masabi. No? So they're only good when there's something to talk about. But if they're the ones needed to take action and to create something out of nothing, then they get lost, and you'll be surprised and you will be disappointed. So you need to keenly observe, because remember, we don't have years, we don't even have like quarters, we don't even have months. We just need like a few days and even a week to see if we will have traction. so that we can go another way and maybe prepare differently for the pandemic. So make sure you keenly observe the emergence of leaders. And as you see new leaders emerge, then you give them the opportunities to shine. And then I think for number 6, engage,
Engage.
engage, engage. So I do not mean like, arranging a team building session every now and then. Although it doesn't hurt, arrange maybe a mental health workshop every now and then. Of course, it helps. But what I'm saying is that you need to create more of a social media atmosphere when engaging everyone in the organization. It doesn't have to be formal. Make sure that you just keep it light. You highlight people that are, pushing the organization forward at this time. You recognize individuals who are actually contributing, but make it more on a very playful and light style, more of a social media style, but make sure that it's extensive. Make sure that's extensive. So engage, engage, engage. And during this time, no, if I may share with you, I'm on the I'm on call 24 hours. No, I'm working on Viber. I'm sharing success stories. I'm putting myself out on social media because I want to set an example. This is how you actually how you want to get noticed. This is how you uh, do online selling. So you need to lead by example at this time, and you need to work as an influencer. No, so para akong naging internal influencer. So when I wake up in the morning, I post something. No, I post about thoughts in my head. No, how I overcome some doubts. No, para ako naging influencer. No, para ako naging Instagram influencer doon sa loob within the organization. No, so engage, engage, engage. So number 7, reward and recognize. So the way I see it, we were fortunate enough that majority of the people in the organization cares a lot, for the job, are very responsible. So pag may rara, they're good, no? They're motivated, they're inspired. Of course, there are individuals, makita mo agad, bumitaw agad. May mga individuals that were indifferent. May mga individuals na, oh, okay, so I'm doing this and now you want me to sell. That's beneath me. There are individuals like that, right? But there are individuals, majority of the individuals are very committed, not to really help the organization. However, the process is whatever it takes, they're committed to push and make sure that the organization wins in this pandemic. Now, but rara motivation, inspirational quotes, no, will only take you, up to a certain point, no. At the end of the day, eventually you need to make sure that you reward those who are contributors, and you need to recognize those that are, helping the organization move forward. So kailangan merong formal din na reward and recognition program. And that's something that you need to think, not weeks down the road, or not months down the road, but like on the second week, you need to cascade already. You need to communicate now. Okay, this is how we would remunerate everyone who's selling this. No, these are the contributors so far. No, this is how these people have actually helped us, over the past few days. This is what this team is doing. So make sure that you recognize everyone. So in summary, now, so if we go to the next slide. So stepping up in times of crisis is simple yet quite demanding. It needs your 24/7 participation. You need to take aggressive ownership of the situation. You need to make sure that you are pragmatic and everything that you guys do are really related going towards a particular result. You need to over communicate. So that's why you also need to exhaust yourself and create an energy not just within you but within your team, and then continuously learn as you go and apply whenever you can. So make that a cycle. So you need to be observant and try to see who are the other leaders that are emerging, and at the same time, those that are fading away, you don't have time to manage them or bring them back to the fold, but you really need to focus on the leaders that are emerging. And to make sure that the organization is moving forward, you need to engage, not in a formal way, but really more of as in a social media setting, but the way people would engage each other on a personal basis. And then lastly, uh, let's not take the people for granted and make sure that hindi lang rara but also reward and recognition. So I'd like to stay in this slide a little bit longer. So what happened? So probably a lot of you are wondering, so what actually happened? You put up a website in 2 days, you change the business model of the organization, you are all sellers in the organization, and you guys went around crazy inside the internet, inside social media to sell your product. So what happened? We actually sold 3 million pesos, around that number. No, I don't want to divulge, no, so maybe it's a bigger number, in 1.5 months. Now, you may think, okay, world's biggest original equipment manufacturer, a couple of billion peso company, that's peanuts. That's nothing. But at a time when all your money is tied up in inventory and you need cash to stimulate your cash flow, to pay your employees, to show the customers and your stakeholders all around the world that you are doing everything that you can to be business as usual. 3 million is a lifeline for the organization. No? And how can we actually scale up? So is this the big opportunity that we're looking at? So on the next slide, I added another 8. So you need to think of how can we actually scale up. And how did we scale up? We simply shared our story as a business case to our customers, not to our dealers. And we were able to generate orders across categories. Why? Because we gave them a framework on how they could also operate during the pandemic. We gave them an idea of how it is doable. It's not easy, but it is very much doable to sell across different product categories. So we were able to get, just to give you an idea, a nine-figure sales during the pandemic from our specialty customers because of what we did internally as an organization. Now, on the next slide, what are the key learnings? So one of the learnings that I had was make way. For someone to step up, others would need to step back. So remember, I was not the CEO, I was not the president and general manager. So someone needed to step back. And when I say step back, yung managing director namin was one of the first people na nagbebenta ng appliances. It's not just really, oh, ikaw nang bahala, report to me, whatever, etc. But it's also him being part, no, of the followers, no, followers of the leader. And then, in a time of crisis, when you feel that the ship is sinking, so what do sailors do? Say, all hands on deck. Diba? So everyone actually needs to step up. In reality, everyone will not. And that is why you need to be able to keenly observe if people are aligned with the organization. And when things are hard, if you can't, if you feel that you can't, if you're tired, no, if I'm tired, if I'm sleepy, if I was up the whole evening, if I can't, I simply say that I must. Otherwise, everything will be gone to waste. No, so you can get things done just by changing your mindset that you need to do it. You must do it. You must accomplish this. No, so it's not just simply letting can't affect you. And everything is a test. True leaders will eventually emerge. Everything, the simplest thing, attending a town hall, a virtual town hall, staying awake during a particular presentation, everything is a test of how committed you are to the organization. But the struggle is real. Now, there are people, there were casualties. Early on, there were casualties. Eventually, no? So make sure that you beware of burnout. So it's true. No, hindi puro rara. No, there has to be reward, there has to be recognition, and then maybe there has to be rest. No, so when possible, try to schedule rest among your different teams. So remember, no first 2 days namin, we had to build up the site, and we weren't internet savvy individuals. We were just led by someone who knows, a little bit about setting up the site. And then we had to learn as we go. We had to do it as we go. And there were always deadlines to be met. And then lastly, to move forward, we need to continuously learn. No? So, sabi natin, learning and application. I was thinking about this kasi tendency natin is to get specialists, di ba? Tendency natin is to get specialists in the organization so that they're very productive and they're very efficient in terms of performing their own functions. But what I believe is there has to be a good mix. There has to be generalists in the mix. No? Kasi kung walang generalists who know a little bit about other things, then baka hindi kami naka-adjust agad. We were lucky enough na we were able to adjust immediately and adapt immediately to the situation because there were lots of learners. There's high learning agility within the organization. So those are the key learnings that I did. And I'm actually done with my sharing. And on the next slide, as you saw,
Is this intentional? Blank screen eh.
actually, you can play it. No, merong play
Pero isa
yata.
pa.
Na-play mo yan kanina. No? So this is actually part of the shameful plug. No? This is a shameful sharing. Shameless pala, hindi shameful. Shameless self-promotion. So I'll be joining the Marketing in Asia meet on March 13, 4 p.m. I'm part of the panel there. So I'll be sharing some of my experience in terms of content and how I ended up here. No, so this is the best example. No, from a corporate guy, not having a LinkedIn presence to now, speaking at a LinkedIn local event. No, so this is one of the example of when you share content, when you share what you know, and really think about how you could help others. No, then eventually you could get to somewhere. No, and I hope Marketing in Asia is a good platform for you to share your expertise or share some things that you know about marketing and basically life in general, anything that you can actually share. So try to explore to be a contributor with Marketing in Asia. So I encourage you to check out Marketing in Asia, possibly join our meet. No, you just register. It's free, but it's a limited event, I think, so you need to sign up early. So I hope you can join me on March 13, 4 p.m. So on the
Ayan,
next slide,
oh.
yan.
Yep, shoutout din pala kay Miss Jeanette Kahukom. So she's watching
Yan.
us right now. Ayan.
Yeah. So on the next slide, this is another shameless plug. Again, again, for some reason, either serendipity or something, when you put yourself out there, so anyone here, anyone that is listening that wants to share something, about themselves, you know more than the average person about a particular topic, and you share it online, and with other individuals. Eventually, certain people find you, certain events actually make their way towards you. And I'm actually happy to be associated with this event. This is the Lead to Impact Summit, which will be happening around May. And one of the speakers will be Marshall Goldsmith, which is one of the people I see on YouTube. He's a multi-awarded Harvard affiliated speaker, along with other things. Now, when you go to the speaker's page and you scroll all the way down, you would eventually find me there. No? So dinikit ko lang, kinrap ko lang yan, dinikit ko. But Marshall Goldsmith is actually at the top page, and towards the end of the speaker's pool, I'm there. But bottom line is, I'm sharing the platform with him. And if you are into leadership, check out the website. Go to www.leadtoimpactsummit.com and register. Register. And caveat lang, this is a paid event. Okay, and then last slide for my shameless self-promotion. So I also host the Inspiring Leader podcast. I've had Francis Kong over, Brother Bo Sanchez, Coach Chat Reyes there, the marketing mentor himself, Mr. Josiah Go, who's a marketing mentor for me. Listen to the podcast or reach out to me and maybe be our guest. So please join me there. And then sometime, a couple of years ago, I actually wrote a book, Jumpstart 21 Proven Ways to Fast Track Your Career. You could read it. If you're into Kindle, you could contact me if you want to have a hard copy. So it's available online and also in print. So that's it. And then lastly, as part of Incubate, Incubate and part of my ventures, I'm launching the Inspiring Leader Academy, which will be conducting public and private, programs on leadership and other skill building stuff. So if you have anything cooking for your organization, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to design a course with you. That's it. So we're now open for questions. So I hope you guys could ask a question or two, and I'd be happy to answer to the best of my ability.
Ayan. So once more, thank you so much, Sir X. Kanina, I made a quick inspection. Tinanong ko yung mga students mo what's your best what's the characteristic of Sir X that makes him the best makes him the best instructor professor. Oh yeah, sabi ni Sarah Al, he encourages participation and tells us that it's okay if we make mistakes when answering questions, the way we can learn. Ayan.
Which is also critical, Dun sa, if you encourage others to step up, you're the de facto leader and you want people to step up, dapat pwede sila magkamali. Kasi kung hindi bawal magkamali, baka walang mag-step up, di ba?
Oo. Ayan, sabi rin ni Gerlin Jit, ayan, is very interactive. Make sure that the class understands. Tama yan. Ask intriguing questions that keeps us from feeling bored. Ayan. Ayan. So once more, we are open if you have questions, comments, and suggestions. For now, ayan, I will consolidate muna before we do our raffle draw. I-consolidate ko lang muna yung mga kasama sa ating raffle. And to give you ample time, once more encouraging everyone to ask questions. Okay, so balik muna kami, glass of water lang si Sir X, and then encouraging everyone to ask questions. we're back. Okay, first question to Sir X. Ayan, is there a limit ba daw by Jonathan Conception? Is there a limit to over communicating your ideas?
In a time of crisis, wala. Wala. You would know if you've already over-communicated. They will tell you to shut up. But as long as they don't tell you to shut up, keep communicating. Yan.
Oo
Kasi
nga, tama.
lalo na during the pandemic, especially to start, kasi nung una, we didn't know what's happening, di ba? We didn't know what's happening, so definitely you need to communicate. There was some confusion of how businesses would move forward. And then eventually, nagkaroon ng mga lockdown, we couldn't proceed. No? So, in all those times, I only said over-communicating kasi critical nung time na yon. No? So, of course, maybe ngayon at this point, no, na andyan na yung mga nagsa-start na yung vaccination, we know a lot already of how the market would behave, of how our government would respond, how our business adjusted, no? Alam na natin yon lahat. Maybe ngayon is, maybe you could, step back and maybe plan yung communication. But during that time, no, for as long as they're not telling you to shut up, do communicate. Thank you. That's a good question.
Ayan. Ito parang off topic, nakita ni Mama na ano ka sir pharma eh. Ano daw yung thoughts mo sa vaccine?
Nako, ano yan? Yung thoughts ko sa vaccine is simply, there are a lot of options prior to securing particular vaccines for our country, no? So, and it was important to have chosen the best option. No, yon. No, so I don't know kung kung yung dumating ba na vaccine is the best option. Of course, iba-iba naman yan eh. There's a public health perspective to things, and of course, there's the private individual perspective to things. No? There will always be a mix of factors that you would consider in making a decision. But bottom line, did we really consider the best vaccine as far as, efficacy, safety, and impact to public health is concerned? Yung ba talaga yung pinili natin? Now, ang sagot natin, now as responsible citizens, nandyan yung vaccine, mapabakuna ka ba o hindi? Well, if you are, serving the community, if you are highly at risk, kailangan mo magpabakuna. So whether that's if it's the least effective vaccine or not, no? And it's not about, kasi people say na kesa wala, no? That's a given, yung kesa wala, no? But also because, remember, kung sa class ko yung nagtanong dyan, recently we had a discussion of yung socioeconomic pyramid, no? So we have the A, B, C, D, and E. And the regular, private out-of-pocket healthcare, A, B, and C lang yun eh. And then the D and E actually looks up to other individuals, and probably they may not be as informed as us. So, as responsible citizens, we need to show them na, okay, sige, pabakuna ka. No? And so that the vaccine can also reach yung mga tao na walang access, like the D and E population. So, there's that. No? So, I hope I gave some insight into that question.
Ayan. Sir X, nakikita mo ba to kay Nika? Parang ang haba masyado.
Okay,
Ikaw na lang sir.
yeah.
Pasuyo po. Ikaw
Okay.
magbasa.
Okay, I was challenged by the motivation of my teammates and I was their leader. Baguhan pa lang po ako noon, nung early months of pandemic. My teammates were already not performing well because of negativity happening around at the time. Nabigla sila sa dami ng changes. May I ask for a suggestion and views on how to cope up with this, although nakabalik naman na on track. So everything's good, so that's fine, so that's good to know. Pero, ang masasabi ko lang dito is, your disposition as a leader syempre importante, you get feedback from others, di ba? You know you know what they think of you, no? So what's going on in their minds if they think of you. Importante yun. That's feedback. Pero if you let that, affect how you are, and especially even upon deep reflection and, you know, pulling somebody out and non-neutral and giving you an objective evaluation, at kung okay ka naman, di ba? So then it's just really a matter of maybe striving forward. There will always be haters, there will always be doubters, no? Pero kung ang naging doubter ay ikaw, then that's a different thing. So papasok dito would be yung tiwala mo sa sarili mo, which is part of personal leadership. No? So if I would go into that a little bit, no? Kasi yung iba sinasabi, personal leadership is different from leading others. It's different from leading an organization. But what I believe is that as you lead others and as you lead and grow and lead an organization, mas importante yung personal leadership. No? So, kaya, meaning the way you lead yourself. So, make sure lang that you reflect often. Make sure lang that you get feedback, pero don't let harsh people destroy you. No, that's still part of leadership. Yung moving on, kahit meron ka mga haters, kahit meron people that pulls you down, that's part of the game. No, and as a leader, and as a true leader, no, within yourself, no, it is upon you to, move on. And dun sa dulo ng question mo, mukhang nag-survive ka naman, and then eventually you were able to move with them, no? So, nakabalik naman na on track, no? So, see, ina-explain ko lang sa iyo yung process, and I hope hindi ka dumaan dun sa point na talagang dumaan ka sa umiiyak ka kasi masyado mo dinidibdib yung sinasabi nila sa iyo. Meron merong tao that will hate you for being good, no? So, don't mistake that for being bad. Okay. Thank
Ayan,
you.
next, patama daw sa iba. When do you think daw is the right time to step down on a certain
Okay.
leadership role? Ayan, para sa
Depende,
iba
no?
daw dyan na kumakapit pa rin na dapat mo.
Okay. Oh, teka, baka sumikat ako masyado nito. Okay. Ha. Maraming forms of leadership kasi. So sometimes when you're a leader of an organization, sometimes there are contracts to be followed. So that's a given. Sometimes there are performance measures, to be maintained. No? So, and then, so makikita mo na yon. And it doesn't mean na halimbawa, biglang hindi maganda yung performance ng organization, you need to step down kasi maraming factors involved, di ba? But if you feel that you are not in touch, with your people, if you're not in tune with the market, then probably that's one indication that you should walk away for now and maybe come back later, no, when you feel more invigorated, when you feel more connected with the organization, with people, with the market, no, yun yung mga things na indicators that you need to step down. So minsan naman yung motivation, the motivation is not earned anymore. You've been a leader for such a long time. You've been working so hard for such a long time. Even athletes, di ba, go through that. Doon nila malalaman, it's time to retire. Kasi nung magpa-practice na, parang masama na loob nila nung magpa-practice. Pero yung mga high performers, gusto nila yung practice because that's what actually makes them great. Now, doon sa mga ganong bagay na may hirap but makes you great, kung hindi na yun yung feeling mo sa isang organization or in a particular role, then maybe it's time to consider something different. Yun lang yung masasabi ko.
Ayan, another question. Sa experience nyo, sir, have you experienced na yung team nyo ay nababurnout na? What did you do to prevent your team from burnout? Was there any particular experience na feel mo yung team mo nababurnout na, and what did you do?
I won't go into specifics, no, pero yes, every high performing team actually goes through that, no. So if not every team, Now, goes through that. But ang importante, as your role as a leader is hindi lang motivation, no? Pero dapat minsan willing ka rin sumalo ng work. Dapat capable ka rin sumalo ng work. I posted a I don't know, a quote yata some time ago, maybe 2 months ago or 3 months ago, that a lot of leaders parang eventually they forget how to manage. 'Di ba? Parang gusto lang nila, okay, leader ako, pero they forget to being part of the team, no? They forget being the manager na kailangan meron ka pa rin talagang gagawin. May mga tasks ka pa rin. May mga responsibilities ka pa rin. Parang hindi lahat puro kasi may mga leaders naging puro delegation na. Kasi leadership mode na sila. But that is just part of leadership. When you're a leader, you're still part of the team. And do not forget being part of the team. So meaning, you should also be willing and able to shoulder the load. At the same time, dapat responsibility mo rin as a team leader to distribute the load, no? So, meaning, pagka alam mong hirap na yung tao, and sometimes kahit hindi nila functional area yung functional area ng iba, so part din ng role mo as a leader to make sure na there's some form of parang holistic training para maka-man up, no? Parang pag nawala yung isa, someone can actually take over not exactly the whole role but part of that role. So dapat yun nasa isip mo rin yun. So para pag nakikita mo na okay, medyo na bumibitaw na tong isa, as long as it's not, kasi minsan meron mga bumibitaw kasi ayaw na nila talaga, di ba? Pero meron naman ng mga bumibitaw kasi napapagod na, may concern sa outside of work, di ba? Na kailangan nila pagtuunan ng pansin. No, as long as that is the case, then make sure lang na ikaw muna, and your team, other team members can actually cover for some of the role. And hopefully we can, make things a little better for each other.
Ayan, another question. You mentioned kanina, Sir X, yung madalas yung mga mahilig maglabas ng voice, yun yung nawawala pag crunch time, yung mga tahimik. Yun yung may idea, 'di ba? Sometimes din, 'di ba? How do you encourage yung mga silent ones na may alam pala talaga na to step up? Parang yun yung isa sa mahirap na part, 'di ba? Yung mga tahimik na may alam, paano mo ma-encourage sila na to stand up and speak up?
Now, based lang dun sa presentation ko, no, in a time of crisis where you need to act fast, wala kang time na ganun eh. Wala kang time na mag-encourage pa ng others, let them, bloom, etc. Normal day-to-day, you can put that as part of your role as a leader, no? Pili ka ng project, involve mo siya, coach mo ng konti, motivate mo ng konti, and see how it goes. Pag nagkaroon siya ng positive development, then push mo pa ng konti, give her some more responsibilities, show him or her how to do it, and then you do it together, and then you let him do it by himself. So may mga ganung bagay. Pero in a time of crisis, wala kang time doon. Kaya ang mangyayari lang is you need to be quite directive and see people that would emerge. Kaya kailangan sisilipin mo agad. Sino yung aligned agad sa'yo? Sino yung maganda yung attitude? Sino yung nagmo-move ng mga items forward? And then, sila yung bibigyan mo ngayon. Kasi again, critical. So babalik ka dun sa parang Pareto principle. And it happened actually. Out of like the 70 people who are supposed to be selling for the organization, only 20 to 25 people are consistently selling at that time. No? So may mga disengaged din. And it's okay. During that time, hindi pwedeng maubos ang oras mo na kaka-worry about those who are disengaged. But rather, you need to focus on those who are actually stepping up. Yan.
Ayan, so yun na ata, no, yung last question natin. And before tayo mag-end, yung iparaffle na pala muna natin, no? Baka yung iba yun ang inatay. So, the rules for our raffle draw is you have to message us or me specifically right away if your name was mentioned or if you won. Kasi the intent of this raffle draw is para po sa lahat ng current attendees yung nandito ngayon. So, yeah, it's our way of thanking for joining us, di ba? So, ayan, once more, ang rules natin, you have to message us before this live stream ends na kayo yung nanalo. Again, ang intention natin ito ay to reward yung mga currently nandito ngayon. Yep, and our first winner. Ayan, congratulations po kay Rowena Libios. So if you're still here, hello, if you're still here, please message us. Okay, so mga curious po, no, what's in LinkedIn Learning? Parang it's a sort of Udemy, Coursera thing. So, ayan, dahil karamihan ata sa atin ngayon ay marketing. I'm just showing you some of the courses related to marketing. I think they have 713 courses related to marketing in LinkedIn Learning. And sobrang dami, no? Nakita nyo siguro kanina, even how to build your own podcast, to do video editing. Ayan, sobrang dami. At again, sana nakatulong to. Ayan, to everyone. Ayan, so our second winner, if you're still there, please message us. Congratulations to Ryan Vincent Senador Tan. Ayan, our third winner is Joan L. Habo or Jaboneta. Ayan, so congratulations. If you're there, please message me right away before this live stream ends. At yeah, we're still accepting questions. Baka may questions pa rin po kayo and comments to Sir X. Ayan, next one, if you're still there, Joyce Claire Tan. If you're still there, message me right away. Another one is congratulations to Beatrice Balyon. Ayan. Okay, and Jovan Laigo. Ayan, ilan na ba si Jovan? Our sixth. So, kung kayo po ay nanalo, wag sana sayangin, 90 USD din yan. And our last winner is ayan, Mary Erden Igmen. Okay, so once more, congratulations po sa lahat ng nanalo. And is this a question? Parang sobrang haba ata, no? Iba ata, spam ata yun. Spam pala. Ang haba.
Yes.
Na-spam pala tayo, na-spam.
Eventually, Bitcoin yan para ma-cure. Para ma-cure sa HIV, bibili ka Bitcoin.
Okay, so once more to everyone out there, if you have a message or an advocacy to share like Sir X Ayan po, basta po nakakatulong sa ating kababayan, most especially nakakabuti sa lahat. We're inviting you to be our next sharer po sa ating LinkedIn Local Philippines Live. Ayan. So, minsan yung iba nagtatanong sa akin anong specific topic whenever we ask you or we tap you to be our next sharer. Whatever it is your expertise is na makakabuti po sa lahat, yun po ang preferred topic natin. Kasi mostly tinatanong ako ano audience meron tayo. So our audience is very general. So kanina I showed you sa industry ko kasi I'm more into engineering. So this is parang para libangan ko, Sir X, no? Tuwing Saturday pagkatapos. Kaya siya 7 p.m. kasi I'm also nagbo-module din ako. I'm taking masters kaya ayan. Napunta ng 7 dati 2 p.m. So once more, thank you, Sir X.
Thank you.
Do you have any comment or question or announcement pa na dagdag na nakalimutan?
Wala naman. So I just would like to thank everyone who joined the program. Particularly shout out to my students, no, and for the very very active comment section, no. So yung mga gusto ng mga bonus grades yan, yung mga nag-comment dyan. So thank you guys, and also I hope I was able to give you some insight on leadership, and I hope to see you in my other engagements. Yun lang. Maraming
Ayan,
salamat.
no. Oo. So nakita nyo naman sana, no? Kanina ko pa fina-flash pa ulit-ulit yung mga yung mga links ni Sir X yan, sa Spotify, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So nakita ko na, I checked a while ago, naka-live stream tayo din sa page ni Sir X. So once more, sana po may natutunan kayo, no? And I'm sure meron, di ba? And yep, see you po next time sa ating LinkedIn Local Philippines Live. Ayan, so once more, sobrang thank you at sana po makaulit kami, Sir X.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, of course, definitely.
Ayan, so once more, thank you to the students of Sir X at saka sa lahat po to all who joined us this evening. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. And yeah. Thank you.